Hey friends, Jessie here. Today I'm going to show you how I stretch when I go roller skating. So I know I have a lot of friends that skate and a lot of online friends that skate, and I figured my experience with yoga and being a teacher for how long have I been a teacher? 8 years? And practicing since 2007, that a lot of what I do to prepare my body to skate is stuff that I don't take for granted, but that comes as second nature to me. And recently, I got a couple of requests from skate friends for advice or suggestions on how to warm up and stretch for skate sessions. So I figured I would do that. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible. This stuff you can do as quick or as long as you want to. You don't have to do all of it, but I'm going to go through kind of my little chunks of stuff that I like to do, and hopefully it's useful to you. So we'll start standing. Um, you're going to want a wall nearby or a chair that doesn't move easily, and a blanket or a towel. We're going to use that today. As always, you can hold onto the wall if you need support or hang onto the back of a chair. But we're going to start by doing some hip movements. We're just going to pick up one knee at a time and open. You might get some creaky, cracky crunchies. I know I am. And then you can go the other way. So then go close to open. Or if you were doing that first, now go the other way and go from this to this. All right. And then come back through standing. We're going to do kidney taps. So your hands stay heavy and you just let them hit your body. You're rotating from your trunk, so from your torso, from the central column of your body. You're just letting your hands kind of hit ya, and then stop the movement from the middle. Awesome. Go ahead and bring your arms up overhead, as high in the air as you want. Interlace your fingers is one option. You can push the ceiling away, or you can just reach, and then keep one arm up and bring the other arm down, tip to the side, and then go the other way. So again, you could stay in these longer, take more time. Um, I don't think it's important. Here, we'll do some shoulder rolls. We'll go forward. I don't think you have to do all of these every time you skate. I mean, obviously, we don't really use our shoulders when we skate, but we do use our whole body. So just giving yourself some warm up to get all your joints lubricated and to feel in your body is really what I think is most valuable about it. Okay, so from here, we're going to come into a little squat. So you're either going to bring your elbows onto the tops of your thighs and sit your butt back, or if it feels okay for your knees to come all the way down into a low squat, help yourself. It might not feel good yet. We'll come back to that later, but either way, just warming up the muscles in your legs, the joints, getting your hips going. You could kind of come in and out a couple of times. Try to keep your back long and straight, however you do it. Let your knees crack a little. All right. And then come against the wall. You're going to bring your hands onto it about halfway between your shoulders and your hips. You're going to push the wall away and step back and come into a down dog on the wall, or like a little L shape. So you can play around with where your hands go if you want them further up or down. And you can bend your knees as much as you need to get some traction through your spine. Should feel like your back gets space. Try to have your shoulder blades hugged together. It might feel good to pedal out your knees and bend one knee deep and let the other heel come towards the floor more. And then walk yourself up. We're going to keep the hands on the wall. We're going to stand on, we'll say the left leg first. Cross your right ankle over your knee and sit your hips back. So holding on to something is great because you can push into the wall. As a matter of fact, I'm going to back up a little bit so that I can push my hands with a little more oomph and get some outer hip stretch. You can also play with balance here. And bring your hands in front of your heart or onto your hips. Balance is something good to play with when we skate. So, second side, hands or fingertips on the wall, cross your left ankle over your right knee, and sit back as deep as you need to. So you can stay very upright and get a ton of stretch. I definitely don't have to go as deep on this second side to get a lot of sensation. Don't forget to breathe. Hypothetically, you're not talking a mile a minute like I am, so stay with that deep breath. Again, maybe play with your balance. Woo. And then come back up to stand. We'll do another little standing balance exercise. So you can, again, always hold the wall. We're going to come up onto our left leg, bend the right knee, and flex your foot. So you could stay right here, or you could play around with your arms. You can also hold underneath your thigh and push your foot forward. It's a freebie there. See if you can, it doesn't matter how straight the leg gets. It's about feeling a stretch while you balance. And then go ahead and release. Second side. You're going to stand on the right foot and come up with the bent knee. Again, holding the wall is going to help the muscles learn how to do this. So there is no shame in using a prop. As a matter of fact, I think it helps you get deeper when that's what's going to help you get deeper. Deep breaths. Woo, this side's harder for me. And then go ahead and release. We'll do a quick little tree pose sequence, Vrikshasana for my yogi friends. And we're going to start with a kickstand. So stand on your left leg, bend your right knee, and come up onto the ball of your foot where you can push the heel of your foot, the sole of your foot, into the standing leg. And then see if you can open your right hip without your left hip coming with it, which is totally normal, but we want to keep the left hip coming forward, and we're going to open the right hip. That's it. So from here, you could bring your foot up to your calf, play around with balance there and still getting that hip opening. You could play with your arms. Ooh. You could also bring your foot above your knee, which today might not happen for me, so I'm not going to stress it, but you might like that stretch. If you stop feeling a stretch in the hip and it's only about balance, just consider, are you working on balance or hip stretching now? You get to decide, but prioritize both. And then go ahead and come on out. Shake it out a little. Second side. So we'll start with the kickstand. Okay. Hips forward on the standing leg side, trying to open your hip on the bent knee side. And then either staying put if this is giving you a good stretch, or starting to play with adding balance to your stretch. Coming up onto your calf, or again above the knee. The only place you don't want to put your foot is like in your knee. You don't want to push on that. And then go ahead, come on down, and shake it out. We're going to use our blanket or our towel next. So grab what you got. We're going to roll the blanket up. So if you've got a blanket, it's kind of this open position. If you've got a towel, you might have to play around with how thick you roll the towel. That's okay. You're going to roll it up along a long edge. So you end up with a long blanket tube like this. And we're going to put it towards the front of our yoga mat near the wall. So we're going to start by standing on the blanket. Heels are going to stay on the mat. Arches and balls of the feet are on the blanket. Toes are up. Whew. So we're moving into the calf and foot stretching portion of class, which is something that I know a lot of skaters need. So this might be a lot. Go slow. From here, fold forward as much as you want. You could keep your hands on the wall. If you've got yoga blocks, you could hold on to them. This is going to feel intense probably through the backs of your knees and calves. in your ankles and feet. See if you can shake out your head a little bit. Let your shoulders get soft. And you can stay here as long as you want. When you're ready, you can bring your hands onto something, the wall, a floor, whatever, and step 1 foot back. Ooh, that's going to increase sensation for the leg that is still touching the blanket. Doesn't matter how far back you could step back a foot, 3 feet. Ooh, 3 feet was a good choice for me. And then see if you can get your spine long here. So instead of just rounding here, try to melt your belly and chest towards the floor. Lengthen through your spine. Maybe fold a little deeper. And then switch sides. Step your back foot forward, your front foot back. Ooh. Find the perfect distance for you. So might be different on this side, and it absolutely is for me. So, your legs are very rarely symmetrical. They're really not at all for most people. Couple more breaths. And then go ahead and step forward, come off the blanket. We're going to pick the blanket up here for one of my all-time favorite masochistic calf openers that we very affectionately call a calf smoosh. So you're going to take your rolled blanket or towel. You're going to bring it behind your kneecaps like this. Then you're going to grab, this is going to kind of take some balance too. We're going to grab a hold of the blanket behind your knees. Try to keep it there. Come down onto your shins. Flatten your feet. Whoo, and sit back for some sensation. This will, you're going to be like, what the fuck? And we're just going to stay with it. So I could do this for like 20 minutes all on its own. This is one of my very favorite ways to release my calves and ankles. If it's really, really, really intense, one thing that can help is your hands on blocks or something so you can lift up and back in. But I promise you, as long as there's not pain in your knees, if there's pain in your knees, maybe put a block underneath your hips, or this just might not be a good fit for you. It should really be sensation in like the muscles on the backs of your legs. So you could stay right here and just breathe. And eventually, when you're ready, you can roll your blanket back so that it's like a quarter turn closer to your heels, and that will be a whole new place to smush. And you can do that all the way down to your ankles. Again, take your time. Feel free to like pause the video and do this and come back to it, or just work this one into your routine. I think if there was one thing I could recommend for skaters, it's like this. So especially if you're dying, it's probably going to be a good one for you. And then go ahead when you're ready, come off of that blanket and just set it aside. So since we're here, we'll do a little foot stretching. You're going to take one of your feet and flatten it, and then put the other foot in the bottom arch. So I have the top of my right foot in the bottom of my left foot. Whew, and we're going to sit back and enjoy in quotes. Try to spread your toes. Try to relax through your spine. Notice if you're like sitting all weird. You probably are. It's okay. Again, this is when you can stay as long as you can stand to stay. This is a great foot release, and it's also very intense. So go at your own pace. When you're ready to come out, you just give those little tootsies a kick and switch sides. So right now I've got my right foot down and my left foot on the top of, you know what I mean, second side. Sometimes, like in this foot, I don't have quite the same sensory rich experience, so I'm going to shift my weight a little, but go careful and slow because it'll come up. Like you'll find, oh, I found it. I found it. You don't have to look hard and you don't have to like smash into it. Just the weight and that, it's called the clavicular bone, the top bone of your foot. That'll get right into that plantar fascia on the bottom of your foot. So that's okay. It's a good time to drink some water. Uh-huh. And then come on out. Give your little tootsies a kick. All right. So this next one is called toes pose, and it's a doozy. You're going to come up onto your tiptoes and bring your feet as close together side to side as they will go. Come down onto your knees. Hug your heels together. Whew, and sit back on your feet. This one, we're going to give ourselves a distraction. We're going to do some wrist stretching. So let's do some wrist rolls. Are you distracted? I'm distracted. And then some flashlights. So open and close your hands. Open and close. Almost like you're flicking water off your fingers. Ah! And then arms overhead. Open and close your fists. Open and close. Open and close. Draw your belly button in. Try to lean into your heels a little bit more. Oh, and then come down. Woo, kick the feet out. And then bring the inner, inner edges of your feet together to touch. Flatten your feet and sit back for the counter stretch, which should be some sensation on the front of your ankles here. You can do that one as long as you want. Some days I feel like I can sit in it for a really long time, and other times, like today, my feet were done as soon as I got in. That's a really good one for skating. So try to work that in when you can stand too. I also love to roll my feet out on a tennis ball, which we're not going to do on camera today, but you can imagine what it'd be like if we did. All right, so now we're going to come seated. You're going to swing your legs out in front of you. You're going to pick whatever animal fur has stuck to your pants off if you're like me. Oh, just shake your legs out a little bit. Get some blood flow back into your feet. Do some point and flex. I'm just feeling out into your ankles. I like to sit up on a little height when I do these stretches. You don't have to, but especially if your low back rolls down, giving some height under your sit bones is actually going to help you stretch your legs and hips better than if everything is getting sucked under like that. So I'm doing a terrible job at folding that, but it's fine. You can just wedge a little bit of your towel or blanket under your butt, and you can probably see how I get more curve in my low back there. This is good. From here, you're going to cross your right ankle over your left leg, and you can stay right here if this is plenty of stretch. And I'm going to give two other options. Option one is folding forward. You could reach for your foot. You could bring, your fingertips to the floor, or you could stay upright, bend your bottom knee, and bring your leg closer to you. So those are the different things, and you can do both. You could pick which one you want to do. If you've got your bottom knee bent, you can move the legs a little side to side, or even pick up the top foot. Lots of options there. Couple more breaths. And then re-extend the bottom leg if you had it bent, and bring your top foot to the floor outside of your straight leg knee. We're going to bring our hands up around the front of the shin and knee. Lift your chest. So again, notice if your back is rounding, it's not going to help stretch the legs. We want to have nice toned extension in the spine to stretch the hamstrings. But that is what we want. So from here, you can twist towards your bent leg. So my right leg is over my left one, so I'm going to twist to the right. You can bring your back hand to the floor or to a block or a prop, and then you can either hold outside your knee or hook your elbow past your thigh. If you didn't already know this, I'm pregnant right now, so I'm not going to twist that deep. Instead, I'm going to keep my hand on my thigh, push them together, and try to sit up tall and get my upper back to open more. Again, notice if your back is collapsing, try to lift up as you rotate. Maybe you peek over the back shoulder if that feels good for your neck. And then look forward. Whew. Unwind the spine. Keep the right leg bent. This time bring it inside the left leg for a little Janu Shirshasana. So your right leg bends out to the side, and we're going to crawl forward over the long leg. A little goes a long way, especially if your back rounds. See if you can hug your shoulder blades together like you were trying to pinch a pencil that was laying along your spine. And see if your whole torso can hinge instead of just trying to get your face to your knee. Couple more breaths. And then come on up. Nice job. Shake it out a little. And we'll do the second side. So cross left ankle over the right knee. And again, you can either fold forward here over the legs and or come up into this more closed up version of the pose. And I do different things, so experiment with what works for you. Couple deep breaths. And then extend your bottom leg if it's not already. Bring the top foot to the floor. We'll come into the twist. So if all you did was lift up towards your bent knee thigh, you'd be doing a bunch. As you add, make sure that it's adding, that you're not just getting overwhelmed, that if it gets hard to breathe, back up a little bit. Think about making space in the body. And I think the easiest way to do that is just by breathing. So deep breaths. Maybe you peek back over your back shoulder. And then look forward, unwind, and bring your bent leg inside of your straight leg. One arm to either side, and then crawl yourself forward. Again, keeping in mind that you want your spine to lengthen as you hinge at your hips. Deep breath. And walk yourself back up. We're going to bend the right leg and bring it to meet the left one for Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So in bound angle, you can decide how close to your body you want your feet. If they're further forward, it will stretch different muscles than if they're here or here. So again, take your time. You could do all three positions if that feels really good in your hips. One option would just be sitting up tall. So this is actually my preferred place to do the pose, is I just sit. And I try to relax my outer hips as my spine gets taller. From there, you can fold forward. Ooh. You just want to be careful your spine doesn't round, because if you do that, you'll notice the sensation in the hips goes down to like a 1. We want it to stay pretty sensory rich through the outer hips. So maybe only fold as deep as you need to get a little extra something, but not at the expense of that long spine. There we go. A couple more deep breaths. And then come on up. We're going to swing our legs around. We're going to bring the right leg forward. Feel free to cushion your back knee with a blanket here. Just to give you some support. And then scoot your right foot forward. Lift your toes for a runner's stretch. So here is a place that like some blocks or some tall books can come in handy if you've got them nearby. We want our spine long again. So you're going to sit your right hip down, and then you're going to point and flex your foot. So just a couple of times, we're going to bring the foot to the floor, bring the foot back up. And then lift the toes again. Maybe you sit or fold a little deeper. And then rebend your front knee. Keep your left hand where it is on the mat, and reach your right arm open back behind you. So you could stay right here. You could also bend the back knee and pick the foot up to find your foot with your hand. If that's not happening, if they're not coming together, don't even worry about it. Just think about opening up through the chest and drawing your back knee towards your front foot. Take another deep breath. Release that. Both hands inside your front foot. Option to peel open onto the pinky edge of the front leg and let your knee drop to the side. That'll be some hip stretch there. And then come on up. Pick up your back knee. Walk everything around to the side so that your toes face the long edge of your mat. We're coming into a wide leg forward fold. So you want your spine long here. And then we're going to do some speed skater stretches. So the word skate is in the name. You're going to bend one knee at a time and walk yourself towards the bent knee leg. For the first version, keep your long foot down. Keep pushing into the pinky edge of that foot. Go back and forth a couple of times. And then this next time, we're going to walk our hands over towards our right foot, let's say. But this time you're going to spin up onto the heel of the long leg and either sit down towards the ground, or you could just stay where you are, depending on how that works for you. Option to play around with balance. And then come back through the middle and over to the other side. Oh, hachi machi. This side's spicy. So again, go slow. You do not have to do the same exact thing on both sides to get the benefit of these actions. So take your time with that. Come on around. Maybe take a forward fold down the middle. And then we'll walk ourselves back around. Let's actually just turn to the back edge of the mat. We'll do those same things on the back side. So scoot your foot forward, lift your toes, runner's stretch. You're going to point and flex that long front leg a couple of times. And then keep the toes lifted and forward fold. Continue to sit your left hip, your front hip down towards the floor, even as your spine gets longer. And then rebend your front knee. Yep. Keep your right hand down this time. Reach your left arm open and back. Option to find your foot with your hand. If you get the foot and the hand, kick them into one another. See if you can lean back a little bit more. And then go ahead and release. You can stay here with your hands inside the front knee and drop your knee out to the side for a couple of breaths. And then come back through. And come on to, let's see, we're actually going to come onto our backs with our legs up the wall. So this is kind of something that I like to do anytime, but especially after I skate. I find that this feels really good as a kind of a recovery place. And also after I do this little routine, I think it's nice to let the blood flow kind of recirculate in my legs. So option here to put a blanket or a cushion of some kind under your hips. You're going to scoot yourself up so that you're tucked up next to the wall. You're going to use your hands behind you. And then you just kind of swing yourself up there. If you bend your knees and put your feet onto the wall, you can scoot your butt a distance away from it that feels good. And then we breathe. So this is a supported inversion. You're getting all the benefits of being upside down without having to put pressure on your wrists or exert too much energy. You might feel some relief in the lower half of the body. You can always add here. So if you're looking for a little more hip stretch, you could bring your feet together and your knees apart. You could cross one ankle over the other one or over the other leg, or you could just hang out. And you can really stay here for as long as you want to. So feel free to not move if you've found a good spot to be. When you are ready to come out, you kind of just roll to the side. And press yourself up. So, obviously, that was not an exhaustive list of things you can do to warm up for skating, but there's some of my favorite shapes and poses to come into when I'm warming up. Let me know if you have any questions about any of them. I hope it helps you feel good in your body while you're skating or while you're getting around doing whatever you're doing. And I hope to see you at the rink soon. Have a good day. Bye.